The Ballon d'Or is an award given to the best performing footballer every year, and in the past 2 decades, this award has been dominated by 2 individuals, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. And to be honest, it does make sense. After all, these are arguably the 2 greatest players to play the sport. One of them led their club to back-to-back Champions League titles and captained his country to win their first international trophy ever with the Euros, and the other scored 91 goals in a calendar year without even being a striker, won everything for his club that gave him so much, and won 1 World Cup and 2 Copa Americas for his country. Both of these GOATs used to get like 40 goal and 20 assist seasons like it was normal, and this has skewed our perspective on football and what it means to be the best player in the world. But now, with both Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi fading into the sunset, with Ronaldo playing his last few years in the Saudi League with Al Nassr and Messi chilling in America with Inter Miami, it feels like there isn't a clear-cut best player in the world anymore, which is why it feels like nobody deserves the 2024 Ballon d'Or. But somebody is gonna win it. So let's go over some of the nominees who enjoyed incredible campaigns last year and which one out of all of them deserves to win this year's Ballon d'Or. Real quick though, I've got something to say. Follow me on Twitter please. I love tweeting about football, so give your boy a follow. And also, I'm gonna start streaming on Twitch, so make sure to follow me there too. The link is in the description. Anyways, back to the Ballon d'Or. Let's start off with the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or this year, Vinicius Jr, who to be fair, did have an incredible 23-24 campaign, where in the 39 games he took a part in, he bagged 24 goals and got 11 assists, almost getting a goal contribution in every match. Plus, he played an integral role in helping Real Madrid win La Liga rather comfortably, and also win the Champions League, where he scored 2 goals against Bayern Munich in the semifinals, and even scored in the final against Borussia Dortmund, something he also did back in the final in 2022 if y'all don't recall. Additionally, his non-goal contribution stats for last season have been tremendous too. Against other wingers, he's in the 98th percentile for expected assists, 95th percentile for assists, 94th percentile for key passes, 92nd percentile for crosses into the penalty area, 95th percentile for shot creating actions, 99th percentile for take-ons, 97th percentile for goal creating actions, 99th percentile for carries, 99th percentile for total carrying distance, 99th percentile for progressive carries, 99th percentile for carries into the final third, 99th percentile for carries into the penalty area, 99th percentile for progressive passes received, 99th percentile for touches in the attacking third, 99th percentile for successful take-ons, etc. Bro, this guy's in like the 99th percentile for everything. But anyways, judging by his personal stats alone, whether that be the advanced stats or the goal contribution ones, along with his achievements for Real Madrid silverware-wise last campaign, you can see why Vinny is considered a front runner for the Ballon d'Or. And a lot of former footballers like R9, Rivaldo, etc. believe that Vinicius Jr is the person who deserves to win the Ballon d'Or this year as well. But what are some reasons that show why Vinicius Jr might not deserve to win the Ballon d'Or, despite being the favorite to do so? Well, a huge flaw in Vinny's game, even though he's one of the best players in the world, is his performances for Brazil. For the expectations that we have of him, his time with the Brazilian national team has been awful. When Neymar got injured and was out for the year, it was made very clear that Vinicius had to step up for the Brazilian national team if they wanted any chance to do well in World Cup qualifying and the Copa America. But since Neymar's injury, Vinicius has only added 2 goals for Brazil, making his total 5 goals in 35 games for the senior national team. And those 2 goals came in the Copa America in the 4-1 win against Paraguay, Brazil's only win of the tournament. And one of those goals was out of pure luck, if we're being honest. Not only that, Vinny got himself suspended because of yellow card accumulation for the quarterfinal match against Uruguay, where Brazil will lose to them on penalties and suffer the fate of an embarrassing Copa America. Not only that, Brazil have been terrible in World Cup qualifiers as well, and Vinny has failed to step up for them. Since Neymar's injury, they lost to Colombia 2-1, lost to Argentina at home 1-0, and even lost to Paraguay away from home most recently 1-0, and Vinicius failed to step up in each of those games. Some would even argue that Rodrigo has been doing better for Brazil, and he didn't even make the Ballon d'Or shortlist somehow. This is really different from the past, because usually the Ballon d'Or winners will be performing well for their country, like Ronaldo always does for Portugal, Messi always does for Argentina, and hell, even Luka Modric won thanks to his performances for Croatia at the World Cup. But Vinny wouldn't fit into this criteria, since he hasn't stepped up for Brazil when they needed him most. Something else that football fans might say regarding whether Vinicius Jr deserves to win the Ballon d'Or or not is, although his stats are good, players who have never won the Ballon d'Or in the past have had better stats. Luis Suarez is one of the best strikers of all time, and during his peak years of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez would sometimes be the one to come away with the Golden Boot trophy. And not only that, in the 2015-16 season, Luis Suarez had a monstrous season, bagging 59 goals, but yet he never won the Ballon d'Or. Then there's another top striker who plays for Barcelona right now, Robert Lewandowski, who had a crazy good season back in the 1920 campaign where he scored 53 goals. But when it looked like he was going to win the Ballon d'Or, the award ceremony got cancelled because of COVID, and Lewandowski has been robbed of a Ballon d'Or ever since. Let's even look at Vinicius Jr.'s Brazilian counterpart, Neymar Jr., who is often described as the 3rd best player of this past generation, only behind Ronaldo and Messi. And even though he had amazing stats stats, even better than Vinny's, and he always finds a way to perform for Brazil, unlike him, he still never won the Ballon d'Or. But now, in 2024, it seems like Vinny is the obvious choice to win the Golden Ball. Did football fall off? Maybe. But I don't want this video to seem like I'm a Vinicius Jr. hater, because I'm not. This dude bagged 1 million plus views for me. I can never hate him. But if we're just being transparent and comparing him to other superstars in past football generations, it's fair to say that Vinny is lucky that he's competing in 2024 and not 2015, because then he might not even be on the top 10 list. That's enough about Vinny though. Let's talk about one of his new teammates this season, Kylian Mbappe, who is also often described as the most talented and best player in the world. But does he deserve to win the Ballon d'Or is the question. Well, if you remove some context, his personal stats alone, especially in the goal contribution department, are definitely better than Vinny's. In the last 23-24 season, Kylian Mbappe scored 44 goals and got 10 assists in 48 games, meaning he got 54 goal contributions in 48 games, meaning he got more than a goal contribution in every game last campaign. Not only that, when you compare his advanced stats to other forwards, Mbappe's in the 97th percentile for goals, 97th percentile for expected goals, 98th percentile for progressive carries, 95th percentile for progressive passes, 99th percentile for progressive passes received, 99th percentile for shots on target, 95th percentile for passes completed, 94th percentile for expected assists, 99th percentile for carries, 99th percentile for total carrying distance, 98th percentile for progressive carries, 96th percentile for carries into the final third, 99th percentile for carries into the penalty area, etc. So as you can see, both Mbappe's advanced and goal contribution stats are infinitely better than Vinny's last season. But now let's provide some real context. Kylian Mbappe was not playing for Real Madrid last season. He was playing for PSG, and more often than not, PSG are in a one-horse race in France. And they showed that last season when Mbappe and co won the French League and the Coupe de France. So when it comes to measuring how successful of a season Mbappe has had, it comes down to the Champions League and the Euros. But in the Champions League, despite Mbappe being tied for top goal scorer with 8 goals, including 2 goals away against Barcelona in the quarterfinals, he disappeared in PSG's most important game of the season, the semi-final matches against Borussia Dortmund, where Mbappe did nothing for 180 minutes and PSG lost 2-0 in aggregate.
But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
If Mbappe came through for PSG in the clutch and won the Champions League, it would have been safe to assume that the Ballon d'Or would undoubtedly be his. But because of the failure to win it when they had Borussia Dortmund in the semifinals, with all due respect, it's a huge asterisk next to his odds to win the Golden Ball. Not only that, for the Euros with France, a side that Mbappe was the captain for, he and France didn't do much. Sure, they made the semifinals after losing to eventual champion Spain 2-1, but for the most part of the tournament, France were pretty underwhelming. They finished second place in the group, and only managed to score their only open play goal in the semifinals. Plus, when it comes to Kylian Mbappe, sure, he had a nose injury that forced him to wear a mask after the opening game, and this definitely hindered his performances, but the only meaningful thing he did was score a penalty against Poland. Besides that, Mbappe was a ghost, and he even said himself that his Euros performance was a failure. So with Mbappe failing to grasp the Champions League and put a good performance at the Euros, it seems like winning the Ballon d'Or this year for him is kind of a stretch. But you never know. Mbappe has been one of the best players in the world for a while now, and his individual stats across the whole campaign are simply brilliant, and just because of that, he definitely deserves to be on the list for sure. But does he deserve to win the Ballon d'Or? Well, you'll find my answer at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Now, before we go on with the rest of the list, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, and it means a lot, so thank you. And also, if you guys can, follow my Twitter and my Instagram, both at Nabuto, if you just want to hear my thoughts on football games, transfers, and overall, just to get to know me more. So if you want to, feel free to hit me up with that follow. Thank you. Back to topic. Football fans have longed for another Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi type debate in the sport, so it's only right to go to the player that Mbappe is seen as a rival to, and that's Erling Haaland. Now, in the past couple of seasons, Erling Haaland has cemented himself as probably the best goal scorer in the world, and he's been killing it in the Premier League. Just last season alone too, he bagged 38 goals and got 5 assists in 45 games, and these goals played a huge part in Man City beating out Arsenal to their 4th Premier League title in a row, making history. But regarding Erling Haaland, even though he's one of the best strikers in the world, if not the best, there's a few reasons why football fans don't think Haaland deserves to win the Ballon d'Or, and one of those reasons is Haaland's lack of overall game. I mean, if you look at his shooting stats, they're phenomenal. I mean, he's in the 99th percentile for goals, 97th percentile for shots on target, 94th percentile for shots, 99th percentile for penalty kicks made, 99th percentile for expected goals, 97th percentile for goals plus assists, 99th percentile for non-penalty XG, etc. What these stats mean is Haaland is pretty good at putting the ball in the back of the net. But besides that, his other stats aren't too good. He's in the 41st percentile for progressive carries, 15th percentile for progressive passes, 7th percentile for passes completed, 29th percentile for key passes, 14th percentile for passes into the final third, 22nd percentile for shot creating actions, 3rd percentile for touches, 20th percentile percentile for successful take-ons, 1st percentile for carries, 8th percentile for total carrying distance, 5th percentile for carries into the final third, etc. So as we can clearly see, Erling Haaland might be a very effective goal-scoring striker, but he is nowhere near a complete one. In fact, he's one of the furthest things from a complete striker. If we look at past history, Luis Suarez was one of the most complete strikers football has ever seen. He could do everything: dribble, shoot, pass, etc. So could Karim Benzema to an extent, which is how he won the Ballon d'Or. Even Lewandowski too is more complete, and also Harry Kane. But Erling Haaland isn't, and that goes against the award's principle of being the best footballer of the year. Haaland might be the best striker in the world, but he's not the best footballer overall in the world compared to football fans' eyes, which is why football fans don't want to see him win the Ballon d'Or. But at the very least, in my opinion, he definitely deserves to be on the list. I mean, you can't ignore his insane goal-scoring stats. Another reason why fans don't think Haaland deserves the Ballon d'Or is because of Norway, and it's not like he doesn't perform for his national team. No. Because unlike Vinicius, who doesn't, Haaland has 32 goals in 35 games. He's doing most of his job. However, Norway's national team missed the Euros this summer, meaning they failed to qualify. And it's not like Haaland is a one-man team, because he isn't. He has players like Martin Odegaard, Arsenal's captain, and someone who also made the 30-man Ballon d'Or shortlist, and other talents like Antonio Nusa, who's balling out for RB Leipzig currently. But even with some of the best talents on the squad besides Erling himself, they failed to make it. And the team below them in the qualifying group, Georgia, managed to qualify for the Euros for the first time ever. And at the competition, they beat Portugal on match day 3 in the group stages, which was one of the biggest upsets in Euros history. And they even scored against Spain in the round of 16, forcing Spain to concede for the first time at the competition. So if a country that's around 20 places below Norway could qualify for the Euros and make a statement, there isn't really much of an excuse for Haaland not to carry his country like Kavica Kvaratskhelia did. And this is something that people use against Haaland. The last reason I want to go over on why football fans don't want Haaland to win the Ballon d'Or is because his stats were better in the 22-23 season and he still didn't win it. You see, Haaland was great in the 23-24 campaign, but in the season prior, Haaland bagged 52 goals and got 9 assists in just 53 games, getting more than a goal contribution every game, something he couldn't say for the 23-24 campaign. Additionally, Haaland's goals played an integral part in Man City winning the treble, helping them win the Premier League, FA Cup, and the Champions League for the first time in City's history. But even with Haaland winning the treble and scoring more than 50 goals in the season, he still lost to Lionel Messi for the 2023 Ballon d'Or. And although it was controversial, Haaland did come out and say that Messi did deserve it. Whether he truly believes that or not, I don't know, but Haaland accepted his defeat nevertheless. So if Haaland couldn't win the Ballon d'Or with stats and accolades like that, why should he win it when he did less in the following season? That's what people say. But then again, Messi is chilling in America now, so that's probably why. Regardless though, do I think Haaland deserves to win the Ballon d'Or? Well, you'll find out at the end of the video.
Really, nigga?
But now, let's go over to the next player that might deserve the 2024 Ballon d'Or, and it's Erling Haaland's teammate, Rodri. Now, I think it's about damn time that the Ballon d'Or shows some love to some defensive-minded players. Like, bruh, the last time a defensive player won this hoe was like back in 2006 when Cannavaro won it. I wish Van Dijk won it in 2019 though. I'm still staying on business and say that he deserved the Ballon d'Or, but that's a different topic for a different day. Regardless, I truly believe that Rodri deserves to be on this list, and he's in my top 3 players that deserve to win the Golden Ball. And I mean, the stats speak for themselves. As a defensive midfielder, he had an injury-free season and played a grand total of 50 games and still somehow scored 9 goals and got 14 assists. And he did that as a defensive midfielder. Bro, I swear, there are some attackers in the Premier League that don't even got these type of goal contribution stats. Not only that, if you just take a look at Rodri's advanced stats, almost every single section is entirely green. This guy's a complete footballer, man. Peep this. Versus other midfielders, he's in the 86th percentile for goals. Remember, he's defensively minded. 96th percentile for assists, 94th percentile for progressive carries, 99th percentile for progressive passes, 99th percentile for passes completed, 99th percentile for total passing distance, 99th percentile for progressive passing distance, 85th percentile for expected assists, 86th percentile for key passes, 99th percentile for passes into the final third, 97th percentile for passes into the penalty area, 99th percentile for progressive passes, 98th percentile for switches, 98th percentile for goal creating actions, 99th percentile for touches, 83rd percentile for successful take-ons, 99th percentile for passes received, 98th percentile for percentage of aerials won, etc. Look at that, bro. Almost all the main important stats for him, he's in the 95th percentile or above, if not the 99th percentile most of the time, which means he's damn good, and he's a complete footballer. Additionally, Rodri was the vice captain of the Spanish side that won the Euros, and his goal against Georgia in the round of 16 started their comeback in that game to progress in the next round. He also ended up winning the Euro Player of the Tournament too, and this just highlights how much of a beast Rodri was last season. Sadly for him though, in the game against Arsenal recently, he tore his ACL and he'll be out for the season. But this shouldn't change how good he was in the 23-24 campaign, and why he's one of the top players of the world. Also, I talked about Rodri's injury and what it means for Man City's season on my second channel. Make sure to check check that video out. The link to my channel is in the description. Anyways, the main critique that people have for Rodri on why he doesn't deserve to win the Ballon d'Or is simply that he's not an offensive player, which is kind of unfair, and that he plays for the most broken side in today's game, Manchester City. Genuinely, that's all the docking points I have on Rodri. And I mean, I guess he didn't win the Champions League as well. But for me, spoiler alert, I wouldn't be too mad if Rodri won the Ballon d'Or. But does he deserve it? Potentially, in my opinion. Let's now go over to someone that Rodri played in the Euro 2024 final, and that's the man of the year, Jude Bellingham. This dude is genuinely seen as perfect, especially from a lady's perspective. He can bag any shorty that he wants. This dude goes to sleep knowing that he's him. That's crazy. And you can't blame him, because overall, he had a pretty successful 2023-24 campaign, which is why he became one of the favorites to win the Ballon d'Or, despite being 21 years old. Holy moly. This dude is 21 years old, and he might win the Ballon d'Or, while I, on the other hand, is making a video about him. I'm cooked. Now, last season, Jude Bellingham was clutch, scoring last-minute goals all the time to save his club Real Madrid, and his 23 goals and 13 assists in 42 games played an integral role in helping Real Madrid win La Liga and the Champions League. Like, if you look at his goal contribution stats alone, Bellingham literally had more than Vinicius numbers-wise. But yeah, he did play more games though, because Vinny had a couple of injuries. But still, this just shows how good of a season that Bellingham had. And his advanced stats show this too, because versus other midfielders, he was in the 99th percentile for both goals and assists, 99th percentile for expected goals, 97th percentile for progressive carries, 90th percentile for progressive passes, 98th percentile for progressive passes received, 99th percentile for shots on target, 86th percentile for expected assists, 93rd percentile for key passes, 80th percentile for passes into the final third, 95th percentile for goal creating actions, 94th percentile for tackles, 96th percentile for passes blocked, 97th percentile for successful take-ons, 96th percentile for carries into the final third, 98th percentile for carries into the penalty area, etc. His advanced stats are really good. As you can see, he's above the 90th percentile for almost every important stat to him, which is why he's up there to win the 2024 Ballon d'Or. Plus, unlike Vinicius, sorry Vinny, I keep bashing on you, he performed well for his national team this summer, England. To an extent though, because he was one of their best players at the Euros, which isn't really saying much because England weren't that good, despite going all the way to the final. But Jude Bellingham's lone goal against Serbia got them to 30 points. Then his last minute bicycle kick in the round of 16 against Slovakia saved England from eternal embarrassment. And then in the final two, he's the one who gave the assist to Cole Palmer, who got England's only goal against Spain in the 2-1 defeat. So although yes, he wasn't performing greatly overall, nobody was for England, and still, Bellingham was one of their best players. But I think what I said just now is the reason why football fans don't want to see Bellingham winning the Ballon d'Or. And it's because Bellingham goes missing at times. I'm pretty sure he went a whole 2 months without scoring a goal for Madrid, even though he was playing in an attacking midfield role. Additionally, he's a very young player. Like I said, he's only 21. He still has plenty of time to maybe win a Ballon d'Or in the future, which is why I feel like football fans also say that he doesn't deserve this one. But we'll see what happens. Now let's talk about Bellingham's England teammate who's up there for the Ballon d'Or this year. It's Harry Kane. Now if we look at Harry Kane's stats individually for Bayern Munich, it's no secret that he performed superbly. In 45 games for Bayern, he got himself 44 goals and 12 assists. That's 56 goal contributions in 45 games, which does mean he's getting way more than a goal contribution per game. He was simply sensational. It's no secret. The advanced stats back him up too. He's in the 99th percentile for goals, 90th percentile for assists, 93rd percentile for shots total, 95th percentile for shots on target, 99th percentile for penalty kicks made, 99th percentile for expected assists, 89th percentile for progressive passing distance, 90th percentile for progressive passes, 95th percentile for long passes completed, 94th percentile for passes into the final third, 88th percentile for passes into the penalty area, 96th percentile for through balls, etc. So clearly, we can tell that Harry Kane is doing well in more than just scoring goals. Unlike Haaland. In fact, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, I feel like it shouldn't be, but Harry Kane really is a better footballer than Erling Haaland in my opinion. A better goal scorer though? I'm not too sure. But a better overall player? I'm taking Harry Kane all day. Here's the thing regarding Harry Kane though, and why football fans don't think he deserves the Ballon d'Or. And that's the fact he still has no trophies. He has the same amount of trophies as me, a YouTuber, who by the way you should subscribe to. Seriously, like do it, subscribe. But that's right, Harry Kane still doesn't have any trophies to his name. And he left Tottenham to join Bayern Munich in hopes of winning some. But even though he joined the dominant Bayern Munich side, who had a stranglehold on German football, he cursed them. And somehow Bayer Leverkusen ended up winning the Bundesliga for the first time ever, instead undefeated. Additionally, Bayern didn't even win the Champions League or the DFB Pokal Cup. That was Leverkusen again. And to make matters even worse, instead of getting the chance to win this season's German Super Cup, Bayern finished third on the last match day, losing out to Stuttgart. So Harry Kane didn't even get the chance to win that either. Harry Kane is a curse, man, and Bayern Munich are now on the receiving end of it. But it's not just Bayern though. Kane is also trophyless with England. Now yes, I know he scored against Denmark in the group stages, Slovakia in the round of 16, and a penalty against the Netherlands at the Euros, but other than that, Harry Kane was extremely poor at this competition. I think those goals are going to cover how bad Kane was at the tournament. And in the final, it really showed too. When the country needed him most, Harry Kane did absolutely nothing in the final. And they ended up losing back-to-back Euro finals partly because of that. And because of Harry Kane being a curse and not winning any trophies last season despite being with Bayern, and the fact that he didn't perform well for England this summer, is the reason why I think football fans don't think he deserves the Ballon d'Or. Do I think he deserves it though? You'll find out soon. But now let's go from an experienced top player in the Bundesliga to a young upcoming superstar star in Florian Wirtz. Now I went over Bayer Leverkusen's season briefly in the Harry Kane section, but they had a phenomenal season. They won the Bundesliga for the first time in their history, undefeated, and they won the DFB Pokal Cup as well. They were so close to achieving a treble too, going undefeated in the Europa League all the way up until the final, where they got cream pie by Atalanta 3-0 in the final and lost. But apart from that defeat, Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen were amazing, and a huge reason for that is because of this German super talent Florian Wirtz. He was immense for them, and in the 49 games he took a part in, he scored 18 goals and got 20 assists, which is just absolutely insane. Those are extraordinary stats for the 21-year-old German playmaker. Another player younger than me, bro, I'm so cooked, bro. I'm finished.
Fucking hell, man. I'm finished.
Oh, also remember, this is Florian Wirtz's first full season after that devastating ACL injury that kept him out for almost a year, which just makes these stats even better, even if you look at the advanced ones too. I mean, 97th percentile for goals plus assists, 92nd percentile for progressive carries, 99th percentile for progressive passes, 94th percentile for shots on target, 99th percentile for passes completed, 99th percentile for passes into the penalty area, 97th percentile for key passes, 99th percentile for shot creating actions, 99th percentile for touches, 99th percentile for carries, 99th percentile for passes received, etc. From this alone and everything else, Florian Wirtz, for me, has done everything right this season. But there are a couple of reasons why people think that Florian Wirtz does not deserve the Ballon d'Or. And one of them is the fact that he wasn't a key player for Germany at the Euros this year. If you can't be one of the faces for your national team at a tournament, then maybe you shouldn't win the Ballon d'Or. That's a complaint I have been seeing. And to be fair, there is some good reason behind that. Don't get me wrong, Florian Wirtz is a huge part of Germany's future. But after that goal versus Scotland up until the quarterfinals, Wirtz did not play a huge part in Germany's campaign. Also, he got benched later on in the competition, and he only got 9 minutes against Denmark in the round of 16 and came off the bench against Spain in the quarterfinals too. A Ballon d'Or worthy player should not be a bench player for his country. Now to Wirtz's credit, he came off the bench against Spain and scored the game-tying goal to send the match to extra time. But in the end, he wasn't a starter, and that's a fair criticism. Another one is that the Ballon d'Or winner cannot be playing in the Europa League. All the top players that I have mentioned so far in this video have all played Champions League football. Florian Wirtz, on the other hand, was playing in the Europa League. And I think if you're not playing in UEFA's most elite competition, it's kind of hard to say that you deserve to win the Ballon d'Or. And that sounds fair to me as well. So spoiler alert, I don't think Florian Wirtz deserves to win the Ballon d'Or this year, if there was any realistic chance that he does. But now let's go from one super talent to another, and let's talk about Lamine Yamal. Now Yamal is probably one of the most famous names of football in these past few months. He's off to a hot start for Barcelona in the 24-25 campaign, and is clearly showing why he's one of the best players in the world already at just 17 years old. And he had an amazing Euro tournament for Spain, with his 1 goal and 4 assists, playing a crucial role in Spain winning Euro 2024. But although Yamal was nominated to the 30-man shortlist, I think it's a little too soon for him. I mean, he literally just broke through completely for Barcelona last season as a 16-year-old. I don't even need to go over any stats that say that as well. It's just the fact that it's a little too soon. Plus, his stats aren't even that good for the Ballon d'Or right now anyways. However, with Yamal definitely showing why he has all the tools to be the best player in the world in the future, and the fact that he got the co-sign from Cristiano Ronaldo that even he thinks he could be the best player in the world, Yamal could definitely be a Ballon d'Or winner in the future.
Like the likes of Lamine Yamal, like what do you see in this young player?
I see huge potential, great talent.
Now with all of that being said, who do I think deserves to win the Ballon d'Or this year? Vinicius Jr, Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, Rodri, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Florian Wirtz, Lamine Yamal, or is it one of the names on the shortlist that I didn't mention in the video, like Toni Kroos, who's now retired, Danny Carvajal, who to be fair had a great season, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Dovbyk, Phil Foden, Mats Hummels, Ruben Dias, Lautaro Martinez, Ademola Lookman, Cole Palmer, Danny Olmo, Declan Rice, Antonio Rudiger, etc. Do I think any of these guys deserve to win the Ballon d'Or? And the honest truth is, no, not really. I mean, listen, I grew up in a generation where we had Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo dominating football, and their numbers were so out of the ordinary that it just skewed my perspective on what good stats look like. Those two aliens messed up my entire judgment. Not only that, after those two, you still have world-class players like Neymar, who I pray just has an amazing comeback story and wins the Ballon d'Or and the World Cup, Luis Suarez, who is sensational, Lewandowski, Modric, Benzema, Bale, Iniesta, Xavi, Ibrahimovic, etc. Those guys were the top of the top, and I feel like now the stats have downgraded numbers-wise, which makes it feel like nobody deserves to win the Ballon d'Or. But I think if somebody had to win the Ballon d'Or and who deserves it out of this entire list, it would have to be Vinicius Jr or Rodri in my opinion. Now Vinicius is the player who's being favored to win the Ballon d'Or by some reliable outlets, so it's probably going to be him. After all, he did win the Champions League and scored in the final to be fair. But I think if Rodri wins it too, I wouldn't be mad whatsoever. Everybody else though, I feel like it's just too soon for them. Except Harry Kane. That dude is just a curse, bro. But anyways, who do you guys think deserves to win the 2024 Ballon d'Or? Does anybody on this list deserve it? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Also, please be sure to follow my Twitter and my Instagram. The links are in my YouTube description. Last but not least, if you want to know what happened regarding World Cup qualifiers in the September international window, you definitely want to check out this video right here. You won't regret it.